Hey guys, real quick intro here. We have received more files via a FOIA request regarding the Israel Keys case. So even though our series on him, our 3-part docu-series, which you can go watch right now on crimecult.com, has been out for some time, we did say that if we received any more files, we would share those with you. So this is us doing that. Real quick though, this file release is regarding Keys' last days. Trying not to use words I can't say on YouTube here. They are pretty gruesome images, so trigger warning there. And this video is comprised of 5 interviews. The first interview is with a fellow inmate, and the last 4 interviews are with correctional officers. So here it is. Go subscribe to crimecult.com and subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Bye.
Alright, it's December 13th, 2012. It's approximately 13:30 hours. I'm at Anchorage Correctional Center West. I'm speaking with Major Joshua Prickett. So, basically, why I'm here is I got word that you overheard a couple of COs. So, if you not speak loudly, I'd appreciate that. Because you can hear everything.
But I don't need an attorney?
No, you're not in trouble.
Okay.
I just want to know what you heard. And when you heard it.
Monday night, CO Smart was talking to Jacobson. Jacobson made a comment to Smart about him seeing something in the room, which was blood. He said, I seen a puddle, and it got a little bit bigger, but I didn't think nothing of it. And he was talking to him at the doorway, the entrance door to Bravo, Beaumont. And being that I overheard it, I told my attorney and told the marshals, like, somebody has to know that this dude's seen it. Regardless of what the man did, he's still a soul.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it felt. I've been told my attorney, like, look, dude, this is real messed up. These dudes are covering stuff up. Like at 7:30 in the morning, the day he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Keys passed away at 7:30. Or 6 in the morning, he passed away. But at 7:30, I noticed the CO looking at the electric razors, looking at them, and they're black. So the next day, I asked, let me get an electric razor. They give me one, and I noticed it's silver. So I was like, oh, I need to my attorney's Rich Kurtner. So I was, you know what, Rich, they switched out the razors. Now all of a sudden we have to ask for a razor when we get in the shower. Normally they'll just go by and throw us a razor. Here, you guys need a razor? No, I need 2 razors. All right, here you go. Make sure I get them back. And it's careless. It's pretty much however you want to get it, and they give it to you. But after that happened, it was different. And San Trevino, when I was working daytime, he really didn't pay attention to who was on the razor disposal list or not. He just, you guys need a razor? Yeah, you guys need a razor? Kind of just get their job done out the way. Okay, I gave these guys razors. They can shower. Because all the red guys, they go first. They're like 2 men. So he likes to get them up by 7 o'clock right after breakfast, get them out the way. Now it's different. Now you can't get a razor now. I couldn't even get a razor today. Before I got my new clothes today, I'm like, can I take a shower and get a razor? No, we asked you at 6 this morning if you wanted to shower. I was like, all right. I was kept that day. Like, okay, that's fine. But no, I said when they were talking, another CO came by and said, told me, oh yeah, Keys didn't die from cutting his wrist. He only lost 2 cups of blood, stuff like that. That's pretty much basically really what I heard was that Jacobson said he's seen the puddle. He told Smart that, CO Smart.
He didn't say what kind of puddle it was.
He said, I seen a puddle and it got a little bit bigger, but I didn't think nothing of it. Hell, look at the windows. They're all scratched up. And he walked over and pointed, see how they're all scratched up? You can't see in there. But they weren't they weren't, too alert of me being awake that night. I believe it was about 2 in the morning, their switch out. I'm usually up all night long. Like right now, I was laying there half asleep, and they're yelling my name. So when I get up, I pull my earplugs out. I'm like, "What's up? We've been yelling. What you got a corridor for?" I'm like, "Whatever that is. What is that? You got a visit?" And I look at the clock. I'm like, "Man, I ain't got no visit, dude. Quit playing." They're like, "No, you got a visit."
All right. So, what time of day was this? Did you remember them?
Monday.
No, what time of day?
Oh, about 2 a.m.
About 2 a.m.
Yeah, they do. If I'm correct, 2 to 3 is their break, so it'd be more towards 3 a.m. Because he was walking out. Smart was walking out.
Okay.
But he was having a conversation. It was Smart and Jacobson having the conversation. And I mean, I've been questioned before about stuff, and I'm pretty sure you guys asked the dudes, how I've been questioned before in my cases. This guy already said you said it. This guy said you said it at this time. He's going to have to admit to it. He knows what he said. Period. He knows what he said. I really don't like what's been going on lately. How they've been treating us. I'm on fed. We're federally house here.
Yeah.
And my right, and how they treat us, I always have to press the issue. Man, I'm federal. You guys, whatever the state gets, I get. I don't want no extras. I just want what I got covered, my state issue.
All right, and you said this was Monday night.
Yep.
So, not the night of Tuesday night after it happened, but the next.
Yes.
The following.
2 days.
Okay, 2 mornings later.
Yep, because Sunday he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Monday he was there, and then that's when that night I said I was awake Monday night. Come Tuesday. Yep. It was Tuesday a.m. 3 a.m. Monday night.
Okay. And you said this is by the doors.
Yep.
Okay.
Because
What's your son like in relation to that?
I'm in cell 8,
Which is right above the door.
2 doors over, on the second door over,
On the top
on the
side?
top, and everything echoes in there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything echoes in there.
Yeah. Like every second you hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know he already told me he doesn't want to talk to nobody. So he asked me not to say anything, but another inmate heard it, and I looked at him when I got up. I'm like, you heard it, didn't you? He's like, yeah. No, you did. No, you heard it. He's like, man, I ain't hearing nothing. I ain't saying nothing, dude.
And that's your cellmate?
No, my cellmate didn't hear nothing. It was another guy on the other side downstairs.
All right.
He's in cell 1. But he specifically asked me, look, don't tell him that I heard it. I don't want no parts because he got his own problems. He stayed. They got him on 2-man status and punitive, and so he thinks they'll kind of not retaliate, but kind of hold him, because he got in a fight and they got repressed charges and then, but he's still on 2-man status. And that's one thing he stressed to me. He's like, man, I heard it. Man, I don't want to mess with these folks. And basically saying, I don't want to mess with DOC because we got them on.
Okay. When did they stop working? Like after this happened? Like how many days after that did they continue to work before they got you?
Wednesday, the end of his shift. So came Thursday.
Okay.
Last Thursday to this Thursday. Today he's supposed to be here in Armagh, but he's not. There's a new CO there. He was supposed to be there.
Okay.
But they let him work his shift out or till the end of the week, till Thursday. Wednesday was his last day.
Okay. Wednesday morning was
his last shift. Wednesday night was his last shift.
Okay.
Because he worked 6 o'clock Wednesday evening till 6 o'clock Thursday night.
Yeah, gotcha. So So he works Thursday to Wednesday, basically.
Yes.
Alright.
And then I just noticed they've been taking the computers out. Just a lot of different stuff's been going on. I've been looking at it like, wow. And then yesterday, my attorney's like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but the people here at DOC called Sarah Space and you're just talking about keys. Sarah Space told me, tell you quit giving them a hard time. I'm like, all right, no problem.
Okay. Alright. Do you have anything else?
No, but if I think of anything, I'll make sure if I anything off the top of my head, I'll call you.
Alright, it's December 13th, 2012, approximately 14:31 hours. So basically, I want to ask you some questions about keys.
Okay.
Did you notice anything with him, like during that night or
No,
a few nights prior?
I've been on shift for 3 nights,
Okay.
and he did pretty much the exact same thing every night. He came out for a couple hours of law library between 1900 hours and 2100 hours. That was his assigned time.
Okay.
And we put him out approximately around in there, and then the rest of the time he was in the cell. He never really spoke to me other than to ask, can I go to law library? And I said, yeah. And, I mean, he did the normal things in the cell, kind of sat around in there, read, wrote on some stuff, looked at books and things like that.
Okay. So you didn't notice anything?
No, he was, there was nothing out of the ordinary that flagged anything up in my radar that anything odd was going on. He went to the bed when the lights went out around 1000 hours or 2200 hours, 10 o'clock.
Is that typical for him?
Yeah, and every night that week he'd done the same thing. He kind of rolled up in his blankets like a mummy, I guess, for lack of a better term. I mean, and didn't move around. And that's kind of how he went up till his suicide.
Okay. How long had he been in Bravo Mod?
That I don't exactly know because
Was this the first shift that you were on with him, or?
he'd been in Bravo Mod earlier in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was switched to Mike Mod, and then he was switched back to Bravo Mod.
Okay.
And somewhere in there, he was gone and then came back, and that was the first time, I believe that was the first time I'd been back in there to my recollection that he, I was in there a couple days on the day shift before that, and he was in there too.
Okay.
I was just filling in for another officer, but that was my first assigned
Shift.
in there.
Okay.
The other time I was just filling in for a guy for, I think it was 2 days on the end of the shift. I'd have to look at my calendar but I had, earlier in the summer, had him in the mod.
Okay.
And when he found that he had some stuff in his cell that he wasn't supposed to, I was there when that happened.
This is earlier on when,
Yeah, this was
right before they took him to.
yeah, this was what happened to him to cause him to go to Mike Mod. He'd been put out. I was the mod officer. He'd been put out for a professional visit, and I was supposed to search his cell whenever he was out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, he hadn't come out of his cell, so I went in there and found like a wooden pencil type thing that he had chiseled away on, and went to call and report that. And at the same time, I was broke out by the sergeant because I was supposed to go on break at that time, and I said, "Hey, I just walked into a cell here. It's kind of a lot of stuff going in there, so I'm trying to get in there. So I found this, and they proceeded to search his cell and found some kind of a noose, some kind of a lock paper clip thing, and some letters and stuff that they.
Okay.
Yeah. So. I mean, I guess, do we have history? I guess that would be his. I mean, on his assumption, he might assume that I had found all that stuff because I was the officer in charge. I sort of instigated it, but was finished up by another sergeant. So that would be a split, whatever. But I'm sure in his thinking, I was the guy that caught him at it or whatever. I mean, that's just some of the, trying to think back on things that I've interacted with him. I was like, that was kind of odd to me. I was like, that's odd because the last time I was on shift, and this time too, and I don't know if he had an inkling that I was going to go through his cell again, and that's not something we generally do at night shift.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, it just kind of, I'm just trying to say things odd. You're asking me about odd things, and that was odd to me.
Okay. Now, he wasn't supposed to have access to razors or anything like that, right?
No. I believe he had an IDR for an electric razor.
Was anyone in there supposed to have? Is anyone Bravo mod allowed to have? I don't know what.
Yes.
So some people do.
Oh, yeah. It's split up, yeah. Some
Okay.
are, some aren't. So there's razors available, I guess.
How much fishing do they do down there?
Some. They're pretty sneaky about it.
Did you notice any fishing going on?
I did not, no. I thought I knew about fishing going up on the top tier, but you can't really see the floor from down low.
Yeah.
And by the time you get up there, they...
Yeah.
But it does go on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to, I don't condone it, but, I mean, unless you catch them in the act. And,
yeah, there's not much you can do.
Yeah. So that, it does go on. I don't recall ever seeing him fish, but I mean, it is something they do in jail. Yeah.
Did he ever talk with any of the other inmates?
Like
he wasn't allowed to have contact with any other inmates, did he? Or?
Well, they can yell cell to cell.
Yeah, I mean, other than that.
Other than that, no.
And that's why I was asking, did he talk?
Not very much. I heard him, but very rarely somebody would say something to him and he would respond. I guess he kept to him. Pretty much to himself, I'd have to say.
Okay. All right.
I mean, the odd thing about the whole night is that it was so normal. I mean, I've had a guy try and commit suicide in my mod before years ago, and actually observed him. He was on a night shift doing odd things in his cell. And then the next thing, on the next security task, you're like, holy cow, the guy's got a noose around his neck here. Yeah. And he was, sitting on the floor, had all his possessions out, looking at stuff. I'm like, why would you be doing that at o'clock in the morning, But people do odd things in jail, I guess, so. I mean, something, but... I mean, he didn't do any of that kind of, there was none of that kind of odd activity that really they talk to you about when you're in training and stuff. And I had that other experience. I was like, I saw that guy. He had all his stuff sitting out. That guy, he didn't, he did not transmit any of that kind of activity. I mean, he came out, did his law library, and just like he had done the other nights. I don't know if I didn't go back in the logbooks to see if he was doing it on the other shifts or not. But, I mean, that was,
Okay. Did you get a break at all? What did you call it? Breakout or broke out? Or
whatever? Broke out. Yeah, I got two
that
breaks.
Night?
Yes.
What times were your breaks?
Approximately 2,200 hours and then at 0,200 hours. 10 o'clock.
How long are they?
They're approximately a half hour.
Is it the same person that?
That
Or
night
is
it
it-
was the same officer that broke me both times. It doesn't
Okay.
always work that way, but it just happened to be that.
Is it just like one officer that goes to different mods?
Right.
And just rotates all the way out?
Well,
Some,
yeah,
that
the
doesn't-
rovers
that
go
doesn't
out to
matter.
different mods and break the
Gotcha.
lockdown mods. So you might get one guy one time,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
kind of the rule of how they actually they decide that the mod officer doesn't have anything to do with that.
Okay.
Shortly after the count clears, they get their other things done. They send an officer down to break it.
Okay. Who was that officer?
That was Officer Smart.
Do you know this guy's first name?
Jack.
Jack? Okay. Alright, we'll see if he knows anything.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you think I need to know, or?
I don't know. It was such an uneventful night up until that happened. That it was exactly like the other 2 nights that I was on shift in there, and that night had, like I say, I mean, sometimes in a mod things will happen in the night, or you'll have problem people, or like I say, somebody will act weird or whatever, but nothing happened that really set me thinking something odd was going on in the mod or with an individual or with Keys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, maybe he planned it that way.
Okay.
He was kind of a calculating guy, and the little interaction that I had with him, I mean, that's kind of how you felt. He was always kind of watching you out of the corner of his eye when you're moving in the mod, and other officers commented on things like that too. That they felt like that he was, they were always being checked out.
Yeah.
But I mean,
All right. What's your typical work week?
7 on, 7 off.
Mm-hmm.
One shift would be nights, one shift would be days, starting at 1,800 hours on a night shift, getting off at 0600.
So that night you got on at 1,800?
Yes.
Okay.
And then on a day shift it would be starting at 0600 and getting off at 1,800.
Gotcha. And you guys are 7/7s, you said?
Yes. Well, not everybody is, but most of the people
Most.
on my
Okay.
shift are. There's some 8-hour people, and there's 12.
So you alternate every other week between nights and days?
Yes.
How do you like that?
That
That seems like it'd be tough
it
on the
is,
body.
It is tough. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, constantly flipping.
flopping back and forth, and then you get a week off, so then you're normal, and then you're working at night, and then your body just kind of gets used to it, and you're off for a normal week. And,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it takes a little bit adjusting to keep up with all that, I guess.
Well,
It's a bit of a strain, I guess, would be a word to use.
yeah. All right. Well, there's my card if you remember anything else or
Okay.
whatever. If you want to ask me any questions.
All right.
What would be a good time if I think of something, a good time to get a hold of you? Like this week, would it be?
I actually am on leave. They put me off until on administrative leave until I go to a meeting tomorrow morning.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, I mean, I worked the last days of that shift, and Tuesday they called me up and said, "Don't report for work. You're on administrative leave, and to show up tomorrow morning."
Oh.
So that's where I'm at. So I don't know what my
Okay.
schedule is going to be. I can give you my cell phone.
Yeah, I'll take that.
And it's
Okay.
and leave a message.
Okay.
And I will get back to you as quick as I can. So I guess if they put me back on, I'll be I mean, best case scenario, I guess I'm back to work on Saturday morning on day shift.
Okay.
If they have issues with something, then I don't know. I will be able to answer that for you
Later.
I think at a later date, tomorrow evening, or I don't know.
Okay.
I've never gone through this before, so I don't. From the answers, I don't have
Okay,
an
no, that's
exact
fine.
question for you. Might talk to Mrs. W. Miller. She runs the institution. She knows a little bit more about it. But
All right.
myself and from what the union say, and several other people are being interviewed by Human Relations today and tomorrow, and that's a little kind of bit that I know. So.
Okay. All right. All right, it's December 13th, 2012. It's about 16 hours. It's Investigator Bartlett and CO Lauren Jacobson. So, since the last time we talked just a few hours ago, when you said that you were on suspension,
Yeah, administrative
leave, yeah, that made me. I don't know, that brought some questions into my mind
Okay.
that I think I need to ask you. So,
Okay.
After I talked to you, I went to go talk to CO Smart, and then I went to go look at the video. And I watched the video, and why don't you tell me about your checks? Like, how often do you do checks?
Approximately every 30 minutes.
Are you like, is there a mandate, or is there a rule that says you need to do it every 30 minutes, or every half hour, or twice an hour?
That's like twice an hour. Yeah.
Twice an hour?
Yeah. About every 30 minutes, give or, depending on. They don't want you to do it exactly on the minute if because people can
They know routine.
key in on it, but I mean, a lot of times, if you don't get some kind of rhythm going, then it's easy to,
Yeah.
now I didn't want to do it at 30 minutes, and now the phone's rang, and something happens, and you go wrong, then I guess. So I try and do it at 30 minutes, but, I mean, things do happen, so.
Yeah. Okay. How many checks do you think you made that night?
Let's see. I would imagine around 20-something checks, because I get broke out. They do checks then, so I guess there's like 24 checks in an hour or in a shift.
Okay.
2 times 12 is 24.
So the first few checks, he was probably still up and about.
Oh yeah, because I had him out for law libraries somewhere around 1,900 hours to somewhere around 2,100 hours in there. So he was basically chained to a desk or a bench that folded to the floor while he looked at his computer thing at
the public defender's case.
Yeah. Lawyer.
Okay. After you said at lights out, he went into his bed and covered up.
Mm-hmm.
At any point after that, during your checks, did you notice him moving at all? Or anything?
Not that I recall, but he was kind of one of those guys that didn't move around. I mean, the other nights he didn't. Some guys are up looking out the window, but he kind of stayed pretty still, I guess, for a better word. Most of the other nights, it all looked about normal.
Yeah. Okay. When you do a check, do you look in every cell every single time?
Yeah.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what are you looking for when you look in the cell?
I'm looking to see that, basically since it's lights out, that they're in the bunk, that there's somebody in the bunk, and that, that they're there.
Okay. Did you notice anything out of place
I
the
didn't.
entire time?
No. That's one of the, things that, I've thought back about. It's like, I never noticed anything different. I mean, that room has different lighting in it than some of the other cells, and they put in. They used to just have single bunks in there, and then recently they put in a top bunk, so now there's 2 bunks in there, and that kind of shadows down on the lower bunk because the light's, above like that.
Okay, yeah.
So the guy's in the shadow under there. Not only that, that light in that cell is not like a white light like that. Some of the cells have a white light. It's kind of a weird LED light. It almost looks like a black light. It doesn't make things glow or anything, but it kind of washes all the color off of things, so it's not as good a lighting in that cell. Some of the other cells have that too. Some of them are, as light as this in there. But and that window is like a plastic window instead of a glass one, and it's a little scratchy, so it's a little foggy looking through it. So it's it's not as easy to see into his cell as it is other people's cells. I guess there's other cells that have that issue too, but he was in one of those cells. So.
Okay. And I want you to understand that I'm not here on behalf of DOC or anything like that.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
I don't know the reasons you're on administrative leave. I have no idea. I haven't spoken to them about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just here for my case. But, I think I looked at the video, and you walked by it several times, and I was able to see into the cell, and I was able to see a pool of blood. And if I can see that from a video across the mod that's up in the ceiling, or up on the wall, high up on the wall,
mm-hmm.
I kind of find it hard to imagine that you wouldn't be able to see the pool of blood when you walked right by the cell. And I think you walked by it after I was able to see it. You walked by it at least 8 times.
Okay.
At least, I would say.
I don't know, and I've thought about that too, and I know that, like some of the cells are missing paint off the floor, so like there's patches of floors, and I never saw the blood. I don't really look at the floor when I'm looking in there. I know he's on the bunk, so, you go, okay, he's on the bunk.
Yeah.
There he is. And I guess...
I think if you looked in that general area, you would probably have to see the blood, though. Because it's a dark, reddish, it's blood.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the light blue floor, or gray floor, whatever it is.
Yeah,
it would stand out.
I've thought about that a million times, and I did not see it.
Did you see it and think it was something else?
The only thing I can think of is that I thought it was like some of the cells that have patches of paint missing off the floors, and there was just a spot on the floor. And I thought, how could I, not see that? And that's the only thing I could think of is that, I'm going by and maybe the spot's growing bigger, and it's not really clicking in my mind. And to me, I'm focusing here, and it's like there, but I'm looking here, and as it slowly grows, it just, it doesn't really, what I mean? It arrived slowly, so it just became something I got used to seeing. Honestly, I never saw.
What do you mean it arrived slowly?
Well, I just assumed that the puddle had to grow. That's my assumption. And that at one time I went by there and it was this big, and maybe that, I don't even know how big exactly it is. And that over time, as I'm going by there, it's slowly growing, so my mind's I'm just doing snapshots of what's going on in there, and it, it's that. That's the only thing that I can think of, that I didn't see it, that I was focusing on him because he was always in the bunks, and I'm like, okay, he's still there. He's still there.
Okay, well, when you're talking about the blood pools over here and the bunks over there, they're right next to each other.
Right.
It's not like if you're looking at the bunk, you would see the blood spot. There's no way around that.
Well, the only thing I can say is I don't know if it happened when, I don't know when it happened. I don't know if the other guy that broke me out, he could, or if it happened during, before, or after that. I asked the day shift officer who found it, I said, did you see the pool of blood? He said, I didn't see anything until we turned the lights on.
Well, he didn't do any checks until they turned the lights on.
Yeah.
So,
But like you're saying, you could see it from the camera, but it
I
was...
can see it from the camera in the dark.
Yeah.
And I can see you walking by it, and I can see you looking into the cell.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like your head's like looking right at it.
Well, I'm looking right at him. I guess it's my only, thing I can say. I'm not looking at a pool of blood and going, I don't see that. I mean, I'm not that way. I mean, I don't operate that way. I mean, I can understand what you're saying, and
Yeah, because I believe the cell was, I believe it was all dark when I showed up.
mm-hmm.
And I remember being able to see that big pool of blood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously I knew that something was wrong in there. I didn't know what I was going to be finding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as soon as I walked up there, I know what you meant by the scratchy plastic window or whatever, but you can clearly see everything in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I was looking on the floor for a blood stain. And as soon as I walked up, I'm like, oh, holy, that's a lot of blood.
Well,
There was a ton of blood. And I don't know how someone who's... And that's what you do. You look for things. I mean, you noticed a wooden pencil that was chiseled out or something.
mm-hmm. Well, I was searching the cell at that point. I mean, I was, I guess in a different mode. I mean...
Well, shouldn't you always be in that mode, though? I mean, that's what you do. That's your job. Your job is to make sure that they're still there, everything's okay.
Yeah.
And one of those things would be that if there's a big pool of blood, that you probably should do something about that, right?
Yes, sir. But I didn't see it.
Okay. Is there any reason that C.O. Smart would tell me that you told him you saw a pool of something there?
No.
And that you didn't necessarily say it was a pool of blood, but you said that there was a pool of something, and I didn't think it was a big deal, or something to that effect.
The only thing that I ever talked to him about is Mrs. Miller showed me the picture of it, and I said, then I could see the blood on the floor, and I said, it didn't, in the picture to me, it didn't look like blood. I mean, it looked like the paint missing off the floor, so that's why I'm assuming it's the paint missing off the floor or whatever. Why I never saw it. I wouldn't. Why would I not? If I saw blood on the floor, why wouldn't I call for rovers? I mean, if I saw something like that.
I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't call the rovers.
I mean,
And that's kind of what I'm asking you.
Yeah,
that's kind of why I'm here.
No,
Because I
the
don't
only
understand why you would... Unless you just thought it was piss or something. I don't know, because I'm sure those guys peeing themselves all the time.
and they do. But, I mean, the only thing I ever said to him about it is when I went into Mrs. Miller's office and turned in my report, I said, she goes, do you have any questions? I said, yeah. I said, I don't understand why I didn't see anything. I said, I don't, I know the window's bad and all that, but I said, there was supposed to be blood on the floor and I didn't see it and I don't understand why. And she said, I will show you a picture.
When was that?
That was, I think that was Thursday.
The last day you worked?
Yeah. And so she showed it to me and I kind of went, well, it's there. But, I'm thinking in my mind that I'm not looking for that, and I just assumed it was something on the floor or whatever. I said, but it didn't look like blood to me in the video or in her monitor screen. And I told Jack that. I said, I never saw the blood or anything, because he said he never saw it. I said, well, we don't know when it happened exactly, so we don't know if he was even able to see it. And I said, I saw the video, and I can sort of see why I maybe thought it was paint missing off the floor, like some of the other cells have. And it happened slowly over time.
So they showed you the video of it?
No, not a video. I saw, Mrs. Miller showed me on her a snapshot, I guess.
A snapshot.
Yeah, a still photo of
Well, if you look at a still photo, number one, the photo's not going to look as good as it does on your computer.
Yeah,
but
it didn't look. It looked sort of, like I say, fuzzy, black and whitish. The spot on the floor for a better.
Yeah, if I didn't know that there wasn't that there wasn't blood on there was no way I could tell looking at that picture.
That's what I saw.
But when you watch it, you could see it growing.
Well, yeah, and
I sat and watched it like slow motion, and you can just see the thing getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, if I'm able to see that from the video, from that crappy video, that's not a good video.
I imagine
that video's horrible. It's grainy.
Mm-hmm.
It's poor video.
It is.
And I'm able to see that with that poor video, with the dark and everything. And it's huge. The blood stain's like this big.
I don't know what to say. I never saw the blood.
Okay.
Only thing I can assume is that as I went by there, it was that big, and I didn't see it, or saw it and didn't click. And the next time I went by there, and it was this big, and it. Folks don't know. The guy's in the same. Yep, he's there.
Okay.
Yep, he's there. You know, because you get kind of used to looking in the cells, going, "Where's that guy at?" Because some of the guys sleep on the floor, so you don't go in there and look on the bunk and go, "Oh, where'd he go?" You go, "Okay, I know he's on the floor. There he is," and and you move along. And the only comment I ever made to Officer Smart about it was I saw that video, and the only thing I can think of is that it slowly happened over time, or not, and that it just never, since it did that, I never picked up on it. If there was blood on the floor, I would have called for rovers. But
I would think you would, unless you just didn't care about this guy and was just through it. Because he's not. I mean, he's someone that I can understand people not caring for.
Well,
this guy's crazy, and
and
he's probably where he should be. And he did horrible things to a ton of people.
Yeah, I mean, what they've come out with after the fact is like, wow,
Yeah,
I mean, what I've seen on the news. I
think there's more people. I mean, this guy is an evil, evil person.
But my job is to protect everybody, and no matter what they've done, right, wrong, indifferent, I look after everybody the same way. I'm not vindictive. I never had any special problems with him. I mean, some inmates are problem inmates. They push your buttons, you know what I mean, and they're trying to get a response. I mean, he never did any of that stuff. Like I say, he asked me to go to law library. I accommodated him. I put him out.
Okay. Well, so I think you saw it. I don't know if you thought it was blood. You may have thought it. I'm just telling you what I think.
Okay.
Because I don't know how someone could miss that. It's humongous. I mean, I went to the scene. I worked the scene. I documented it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge blood stain. Huge. I mean, just the drip pattern alone is like 1.5 feet in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. And then you got the big blood flow coming off of it. The big blood flow pattern. That's probably 3 feet long, if not more, actually. So, and it's not like it's blood on like a cherry wood floor. It's blood on like a really light blue or gray or whatever it is floor. I mean, they contrast so much. I mean, there's nothing else in that cell that's that dark other than the blanket.
Mm-hmm.
But it's away from the blanket.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how a reasonable person, especially someone whose job is to look into cells and make sure that nothing's weird in there, could miss that. I can understand missing it once, maybe missing it twice, maybe 3, 4. I don't know how you could miss it 8, 9, whatever times it was. I can go back and I got them all logged in, but I didn't number them. But there's several times you walked by there and looked. And when I can first see the blood stain, within a minute, after the blood stain pools and it gets like towards the end where it stops, a minute later you walk by and you look right in there, and it looks like your head doesn't just go like this, it goes down, and you see it, and then your head whips back and you keep on going. And then, for some reason, you don't do another check for like an hour, and like 15 minutes. And you're supposed to do checks every hour, or twice an hour. And you basically skipped 2 checks. So, I mean, these are things that are, when I went back to look at this video, I'm like, that's not right, this isn't adding up. And then, that check that you go after you miss the other 2, when you walk by it, you cover your face.
What?
Yeah. You put your hand to your face. I don't know if you're covering it, but you put your hand to your face as you're walking, like as soon as you get to it, you put your hand up. As you walk past, your hand drops. And you don't do that any other time in the video.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a subconscious thing that your mind's doing because you don't want to see that there. I think you saw something, and then you're basically trying not to see it because you don't want it to be blood. Because I don't know it is dark. I don't know. It looks like a pool. It could be a pool of whatever. He could have threw up. I don't know. But it's not just that. I talked to other people, and I was told that a couple days later, at like 3 o'clock, when Smart was leaving, after he broke you out or whatever, as he's leaving, you guys converse right there at the door, and you say, "Hey, I saw a pool of something. I didn't know what it was. I just saw a pool of something. I didn't think it was a big deal.
No.
And that's what it is."
No.
Well, I've got people telling me this. And it kind of lines up with everything else that I see on the video.
No.
And it's kind of hard for me to ignore what I see.
I never saw it, sir.
Nope.
And what I saw...
I'm telling you, you did because you told people you did.
No, I never did.
You did tell people you did.
I saw it on the picture that Mrs. Miller showed me. That's where I saw the blood. That's where I saw the blood.
Well, you told people before Thursday. That's why I asked you what date was that. Because I was
I'm
told
thinking,
that
I can go get my report and find it.
Well, you know that it was the day.
Well, I mean, I did the report 3 days after. I think it was 3 days after we. So that's been Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night.
No, Tuesday morning at 3 in the morning. It was Monday night. Monday night, Tuesday at 3 in the morning. So it's before you had your little conversation with Miss Miller.
No, sir. I never saw anything. I talked to people. They said, "How come you didn't see the blood?" All I can say is I thought it might have been, paint missing off the floor, but I never saw any blood. The only time I ever saw the blood where I could say, where I went and looked, was on that video or that picture that Mrs. Miller showed me in her office. And that was the day I turned in my report.
Look, I don't know if you saw blood or what you saw, but from what I was told, you saw a pool of something.
No.
I saw a pool there, and it was... I didn't think it was a big deal, so I didn't act on it.
No.
Did C.O. Smart tell you something different?
No. He said, to my knowledge, he said he never saw anything. And people have asked me, "Didn't you see the blood?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't see the blood." I said, I never knew anything about how it looked until I went into Mrs. Miller's office. She showed me on the monitor what it looked like, and I was like, well, maybe I didn't notice it. Maybe I thought it was paint missing off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And just assume that. I mean, if you go around and look in enough cells, that you'll see some of the cells got big splotches of weird shape where paint's peeled off.
But that would be concrete underneath.
No, it's other colored paint underneath.
It's red underneath?
No.
Or would it be other light colored paints?
Excuse me. It's a darker paint.
Well, anyway, there's none of that in his cell, and I'm sure you...
No, it's not.
And I'm sure, I know you've walked past that specific cell several other times.
Yes, sir.
And didn't see these splotches.
Right.
Because there aren't any there.
No, there's not. That's why I've tried. That's been one of my weirdest things is that, okay, well, if he snuckily did it, how come I didn't see the blood? I should have saw the blood. And I as God is my witness, I never saw the blood. The first time I ever saw the blood was in the photograph that Mrs. Miller, or the monitor that Mrs. Miller said. And I was like, okay, well, there it is. I mean, you know, it wasn't a good photo, but you can definitely see that there's something on the floor. Like, you know, I said maybe I mistook it for some of the cells for having paint peeling off. I don't know.
When you walk by something and you see something that's not normal, you stop and take a look at it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, if you would have saw something that you would have mistaken for something else, wouldn't you say, like, well, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I would have, but that's why I say I never noticed anything out of the ordinary.
That is extremely hard for me to believe, that you didn't see a big pool of red blood there.
I can understand that.
And
I have no vendetta against that man.
I didn't say that you did. I don't
know.
know.
I
don't know if you did see it. I don't know why you wouldn't have. I mean, I think you saw it. I don't know why you didn't report it. I have no idea.
I didn't see it.
Did you just not want to, like, have to deal with Miss Miller? Or
no, I mean,
private paperwork? I don't know. Why would you not report that?
I would have, because, you know, I know what's coming down the road. I mean, how could I have ever avoided this? I mean, that doesn't make sense. I mean, if somebody dies on your shift, I mean, like I say, I've had another guy try and commit suicide. I caught him in the act. I know the paperwork, all the stuff that goes on. Mm-hmm. The other thing, you know, I've been there a while. I mean, I've seen a lot of other things go on. I know the procedures of it. I mean, other people have died, you know, not on my watch, but, you know, and so I know the protocol of it all.
Well, I understand that you know what the protocol is. How long have you been a CO?
It'll be 6 years in January.
Okay, so a long time. You've been a CO for a long time. I know you know what to do. And I'm not doubting the fact that you know what to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm
just doubting the fact that you didn't see it. Because and, you know, it's just so hard for me to believe that you walked by that several times and you didn't see that big old
And, you know, that's been my biggest question, but I haven't been allowed to talk to anybody about it. I mean, other than Mrs. Miller, show me that one picture. I mean, I don't, you know, and people have asked me, you know, because I'm in Mrs. Miller's office. They said, well, what happened? And I said, well, I turned in my report. I said I did get to see a picture of it, so it gives me a little more perspective. Because that's one of the things I asked her. I said, I don't understand how I couldn't saw the blood. And she goes, well, I can help you with that. And she showed me a picture. I said, of all the things I don't understand, that's the thing that haunts me. Why didn't I see that? And that's one of the things I asked Officer Satterina. I said, man, when you came into the mod and sat in there and everything before you did your check, I said, did you see anything weird? And he goes, no. He says, I didn't see anything until the lights came on and I did my check.
Well, that's because he didn't do any checks.
Yeah.
He's not going to see something he's not
exactly.
He's not looking at.
So I said, you know, you couldn't see it from, like you're saying, from the video. I said, you couldn't see it sitting there at the desk or anything either. And he said, no, he didn't notice it either until the lights came on.
But as soon as he came in, he sat at his desk and he started doing paperwork.
Well,
I watched the video. He's not looking up at anything. He's doing all this paperwork. He's sitting there at the desk.
Right.
And after maybe 20-something minutes or whatever, he gets up and then he does his check and he sees it. And he takes, you know, gets on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's pretty, I don't know.
Well,
and I have people saying that you're saying this stuff.
No, I'm...
Why would someone say that you're telling them this?
I don't know, because they got it out of context of when it happened. Because I never saw anything.
Well,
and if people ask me, didn't you see the blood? I said, I never did.
Well,
I said, I don't know if obviously it was on the floor and I mistook it for paint off the floor or something like that.
Before I came here the first time, I went to the jail to talk to inmates who also, I mean, they're saying the same thing. Exact same thing.
What's that?
You're saying that. I mean, I have these people telling me. This isn't like you telling to 5 different people in 5 different situations. It's all the same situation.
Yeah.
It's all right there on Tuesday at 3 in the morning, around 3, when Smart's leaving and you're coming back in. You guys sit there and talk right there at the door briefly. and it's really loud in the cells, or really loud in there in the mod. Everything echoes because everyone's sleeping. So when everyone talks, it's loud enough for people to hear.
No, I never saw
The
blood.
same story Tuesday. When they switched out, one person actually told me it was around 3 o'clock, which makes sense from what you told me earlier about the time you guys switch out. Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it kind of varies back and forth. I never saw the blood.
Why would you not do a check for an hour and 15 minutes or whatever it was
I don't know.
after
I got
the
distracted.
blood pool came up?
I don't know.
What would you get distracted with?
I don't know.
I mean, what would you get distracted with? I don't know.
I had a phone call that night.
A phone call from him
Another mod officer.
for an hour and 15 minutes?
I don't think it was that long, though.
Was it around
I think
midnight?
it was, I was supposed to, I don't recall.
Who was that mod officer?
Officer Rice.
Rice?
Rice.
Okay. Officer Rice. But you don't remember what time that was?
I'm assuming it was sometime around 1 o'clock.
Okay. So, did you tell anyone else about this?
I mean, I've talked to my, people at work. Talked to my wife about it.
What do you think your wife would tell me that you told her?
You can go ask her. I think she would say similar to what I've said.
All right. Well,
I mean,
how do you think all this is going to end up
I don't know.
on you?
I don't know, sir.
How do you think this investigation is going to show for you when I'm done with it?
It's not looking very good. I mean, but I never saw the blood. I never told anybody I saw blood. I talked to people and they asked me about the blood.
I already told you. You never said the word blood.
Yeah.
So you don't have to keep telling me. You didn't tell people you saw blood.
Okay.
You told them you saw a pool of something. You saw a pool there. You didn't think it was a big deal.
The only thing I can say is that when people have asked me why I didn't see blood on the floor, I can say I didn't see blood. What I thought I saw, if I saw something on the floor, it must have looked like paint missing off the floor or something like that, and it never went up on my radar or whatever. I mean, it never looked bad to me.
Okay, well.
And, I don't.
Would you be willing to take a polygraph?
Yes.
Okay. How do you think that's going to show up for you?
I think it's going to be good.
Okay. If I asked you the specific question, did you observe a pool of something, or just a pool on the floor that night? To that question, how do you think your answer would be?
I don't think...
Truthful or negative, or deceptive?
I think it's going to be truthful. Would
you be willing to do that right now? Because I can make that happen.
Well, I mean, maybe I need a lawyer or something if it's going down this path. I mean,
You can get a lawyer if you want.
That's
your right. I'm asking you.
Yeah, I would take a polygraph test and do it. Because
if you have nothing to hide, and you're telling the truth.
I got nothing. If I would have saw what I thought was blood, I would have called the Rovers.
Okay.
Because I don't have any reason not to.
Okay, well then did you see something else? Did you think it was piss or some kind of other pool of something? Because I'm really hung up on the fact that you're telling people, or you told Smart, that you saw a pool of blood, or a pool of something. You didn't specifically say the word blood.
No.
Because
I'm thinking that stories are getting, mixed up. Time frames or whatever, but because people have asked me that. Why didn't you see a pool? I guess that's why I keep saying pool of blood, because that's what people say. Well, why did, if the guy did it, how come you didn't see that? And I'm like, I don't know.
And you can understand why everyone's asking.
And I can totally understand. That's the question of the day. And I said, I don't know. I don't know if it was because it happened so slowly. It arrived there over time, and as you just do a snapshot of things going by.
Before 12, there's nothing there. Right after 12, there's a pool of blood there. It didn't slowly occur.
Okay. Can I ask
between two? It was probably 30, 40 minutes between those two checks. There was nothing, and then there was a pool of blood. It didn't slowly come up or anything.
Officer Smart was in there. If that's the time frame, he came in there after 2 o'clock. He didn't see it either.
According to, But I can understand someone missing it once, maybe twice, maybe even 3 times. I can't understand like 7 or 8 times. And I can't understand the big gap between the check right after the pool of blood is observable and you walk by it, and then there's a big gap when you were supposed to be doing these checks every 30 minutes or so. There's a gap of about an hour and 15 minutes. I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense to me.
I think that's when the phone rang, was just about the time I was supposed to do a check, and I got talking on the phone to another officer is how I think I remember it going down.
For that long?
Yeah.
Okay, so Officer Rice is going to say that. Is that R-E-I-S-S or R-I-C-E?
R-I-C-E.
Rice, okay, like Rice. All right. So he's going to say you guys talked for a long time or something.
Yeah.
Okay, what were you guys talking about?
He was interested in buying a plane, and he was talking with me about it.
About buying a plane?
Mm-hmm.
What was he saying about the plane?
What kind of plane was a good plane? If I thought this particular plane was a good plane. And I said, yeah, those are good planes. It's a version of the kind of plane I have. And I said, yeah. He's just got his pilot's license, and he's trying to find some entry-level plane that will do some of the things he wanted to do. And we talked about that.
So is that typical? That's at nighttime you guys don't have much to do, so you probably talk a lot, huh?
Yeah, well, not a lot, but occasionally the phone rings. He called me up, and I talked to him about it.
All right. And you think that was right around?
I think that was at that time frame.
Midnight or 1 or something?
I think it was probably from about 1-ish to about 1:30-ish.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well,
because all of a sudden it's
you
like...
did your check at
and I think
00:15.
Yeah.
So there's 45 minutes that you still didn't...
I'm...
Yeah.
I don't know the exact moment, but I'm thinking somewhere around then. Because right around 12 o'clock, right after 12 is when I do some paperwork, update all the rosters, court lists. I remember him calling.
I can understand you not wanting to tell me or talk to me because there's so much.
I
much for you to get. Yeah.
I will truthfully answer anything, and I swear to God, sir.
The only way that I know that you can truthfully answer anything is if you take a lie detector. That would be the only way because, we're taught to pick up on cues, and I'm getting some cues from you, but the only way that I can definitively say that you're telling me the truth is with a lie detector. The only thing the lie detector, they fail, but they fail. Okay, it's hard. I need to make sure I get this right because I don't do the lie detector test. We got other guys that do that, but a truthful person will never show as being deceptive. But a deceptive person can beat the test. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I guess so, yeah.
Some deceptive people are able to control their body or do whatever they need to do to show that they're being honest. But honest people don't ever show that they're deceptive. Ever.
Okay. Well, I can understand that.
Okay. So when people are always hung up because it's not like a court thing. You can't take a lie detector test into court because of that small percentage of failure, even though that it's a failure for negative or deceptive people showing as positive, it's still a failure in the machine, I guess. So that for some reason, whatever, it's not accepted in court. But that's why law enforcement still uses it, because truthful people, we basically use it to weed out everyone else to bring us down to one person who's guilty and won't take the test. Most of the time, you know what I mean? Like if we have an instance like, something got stolen, we got 5 people saying 5 different stories, 4 people saying one story and one person saying, nope, they're all full of crap. Well, we give all the other people lie detectors, they all pass, and it goes this to this one guy. But here, if you have nothing to hide,
I don't have
you have
anything
nothing to lose when you take a lie detector. But you need to understand that if you do, it will show, because it's very rare that people can pass it if they're being deceptive.
I never saw a pool of blood. Not until I saw it on the video monitor in Mrs. Miller's office. Did you see a pool of anything? I've tried to... That's been my biggest thing. Not consciously, no. I've tried to think back. Why did I miss it? And I'm thinking, well, a million times I've gone over this in my head, and the only thing I can think of is like, well, I really wasn't paying attention for looking at blood on the floor. I was looking at the inmate. He was still there. He was still in the cell. If I saw it, whatever, subconsciously or something, but it never...
Did you tell your wife that you saw something, a pool of something, or...
No.
You saw anything, you didn't tell her that?
No. The only thing I ever said is I've asked her a lot of times, or not a lot, we talked about it, I told her, I said, I don't, when I saw the photo on the thing, I said, maybe that's why I mistook it for paint missing off the floor. That's kind of what I told her. You can talk with her. You can do whatever you need to do.
All right, well...
I'll take your test. You can talk with my wife. There's absolutely no reason for me not to have called for Rovers if I actually saw something wrong. You don't get in trouble for calling Rovers.
Mm-hmm.
If
you don't.
If you're wrong, if it's a false call or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I got no...
Other than the fact that maybe you didn't want the guy to be alive, I don't know.
No, I have no malice against the guy. None.
Well, I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying that would be like the only reason that I can think of why you wouldn't. You just didn't care if the guy lived or died, or you didn't. Or the only other thing would be you didn't want to deal with the paperwork. No, I would have. I'm dealing with a lot of paperwork right now. Yeah.
I knew that. Whatever happens, if something goes wrong at work, there's, somebody's going to get checked out, and you're going to do paperwork. And
all right. When was the last time you talked to Smart?
Tuesday we went caribou hunting together.
This last Tuesday? Just a couple days ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are friends.
Well, yeah, we've known each other off and on. He came on the shift a while back, and we've been talking about doing some hunting together, and he had a caribou tag, and I don't have a caribou tag. I don't even have a hunting license. I told him I'd go with him,
and he was suspended the same day, correct?
Yeah, they called us up on the phone and told us that. That's when we found out we were out caribou hunting in Eureka.
Okay.
Mrs. Miller called us up
on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So, we worked together in the East Building. He was on a different shift, so we've known each other off and on since I've worked there. I think he worked there years ago and then quit and then came back somewhere a little bit before I came back. So I think he's been there like 6 years or something back.
Okay.
I will take your test. I, honest to God, did not see blood on the floor. I looked at his bunk. I don't know what to say about the gestures or whatever. And I think the missed check or the late check was I was on the phone with Officer Rice. because that's one of the things they brought up to me about going to this thing tomorrow.
What was one of the things that they brought up?
Was that I was on the phone.
Did they look at the phone logs or something?
I believe they looked at the video. They looked at the phone logs also, I imagine.
Okay.
I mean, I honest to God, I have nothing to hide. I might have made a mistake and not saw something that I should have saw, but I didn't see something and ignore it. I wouldn't do that. I've never done that. You know.
So you didn't see blood. I know you didn't see blood.
You know, like I said, the only thing I can think is, you know, I wasn't attentive to what was on the floor. I was attentive to what was in the bunk. I knew he was in the bunk. Every time I went by there and I looked at him, he was in the bunk. Moving on to make sure that the next guy's there.
Are they allowed to cover up their drains? Probably not, right?
No. Some of them are because they don't drain properly and the guy's smell comes up at them, so they do cover them up sometimes.
Do you make them, like...
Uncover them?
Yeah.
Generally. Sometimes they'll go, it stinks really bad, so can I just keep it covered up? And you can smell it and you go, okay, well, you know.
Wouldn't you have noticed that on the drain? Because he had his drain covered up with paperwork.
I didn't notice.
I mean, those are two things that you would probably.
I mean, they keep, you know, they stack paperwork in their cells all, you know.
Yeah, but on a drain, on the floor.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you just said that you typically, if you saw that, you would say, hey, we need to fix that.
Yeah.
Get that off the drain.
I don't remember seeing any paperwork on the floor either, so. I mean, you're looking at a lot of people moving around, you know. I'm not trying to be deceptive or anything. I mean, honestly, I'm not. I didn't see it. I would have saw it. I would have called. I would have known that I'd have been in more trouble by not seeing it than by seeing it. I mean, that is you know.
You know what? And other COs are the same way, and other cops are the same way, but they still do things they're not supposed to do. All the time. All the time. Because cops all the time don't react to things that they're supposed to, and I'm sure COs do as well, because you hear these stories from everywhere. Like, why wouldn't you just take care of it? It's simple. But they don't, and then they get in trouble.
I honestly, I didn't see it. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I didn't have any malice against that man. I knew he did bad things. I didn't know how many bad things until they started showing it on the thing.
How do you think he would have got a razor in there?
I have no idea that.
Because he's not allowed to interact with other people, correct?
Correct.
How often do you guys go through his bunk?
They do it on day shift. I assuming they were supposed to do it every day.
So every day. So during the day, they went through the bunk. So more than likely he didn't have a razor at that time.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
you can't say for sure.
Yeah,
but they checked for it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Did you notice any guys fishing anything?
No.
No. So they're not fishing in front of you, and he's not known to be fishing with other people anyway. Correct?
Not that I'm aware of, yeah. I mean, not when I've been on shift. I haven't noticed him. I never saw him fish when I was on shift. So,
yep.
You know, that.
How do you suppose he got a razor?
I don't know. I mean, he could have.
Who controls the razors?
The COs do.
And it's that type of razor, so how would he get that razor?
I don't know. I don't know. And he might have had it in for a long time. Might have been stashed in the cell.
And he just happened to find it? That's kind of hard to believe.
You know, I don't know. I'm just throwing up. You know, you're asking me how? I don't know. I didn't give it to him. I didn't. You know. I don't know how he got it. I've wondered about that. I've wondered about the blood. I've wondered why I didn't see it. You know, something like that happens. You got a lot of questions, for myself.
Well, my investigation's obviously not over now. So, we will probably talk again. And I'll probably talk to other people some more. Yeah. Alright. It's December 18th, 2012, approximately 16:15 hours. I'm at the law offices of, was it Tyndall, Bennett, and Shoup? Right. Alright. I'll be speaking with CO Jack Smart. His lawyer's is
David Shoup.
David Shoup, okay. And, yeah. So, Jack, the reason I'm wanting to talk to you is obviously because of the incident that happened on the 1st or 2nd. And what I want to know is, first off, you work at the Anchorage Correctional Center West, correct?
Yes.
Okay. As a CO?
Yes.
All right. Were you working the night of the 1st,
Yes.
December 1st? Okay. What were you doing that night?
I was assigned to roving patrol, and that includes giving breaks and doing counts and checks.
Okay. So, that night, did you break out or give a break to CO Jacobson?
Yes.
Okay. And where was that?
In the Bravo unit,
Okay. How many times did you give him a break?
twice.
Okay. Do you remember what times those were?
Approximately 2200 and around 0200, give or take a few minutes.
Okay. And that's 2200 on the 1st and 0200 on
Yes.
the 2nd. Okay. Did you notice anything with inmate keys at all, like that night?
No.
No? Have you had many interactions with inmate
No.
keys? No? Okay.
I was recently transferred over there from the East Building.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. How dark was it in there that night? I mean, I know most of the lights are off, correct?
It's lock up and lights out, yes.
Yeah. And how many do you guys leave on? Like 2 or 3? In a dimmed manner? Like, I know they're not completely bright, but there has to be some light in there for you to see it.
There are night lights in the cells.
Okay. Are there any out in the mods?
Yeah, there's, we're high up, but I couldn't tell you how many there is.
Okay. So, if you were to, like, during your checks, can you see inside the cells and see basically what's going on?
In some of them, yeah, there's, the lights are dimmer especially in his room, it was dimmer. It's a different light in that room.
Okay. Is there enough light in there for you to be able to see movement and stuff like that? I mean, if you were looking at it.
Well, I mean, there's, you can see if there's somebody on the bed, yeah.
Okay. And if someone got up and out, you'd be able to see that?
I suppose, if they're real close to the window.
All right. What about a large pool of blood? Would you be able to see that?
I don't know. I never looked.
Okay. The color of the floors in that cell, were they like a light blue or a light gray?
I don't remember.
Okay. And most of the cells, it's a lighter shade, correct?
without looking, I mean, I'm being fair and honest and everything. I mean, it's without looking. I don't want to say anything, but you know, I mean, I suppose it's.
They're not like black or dark brown or anything like that. They're a lighter color, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And blood is pretty dark.
Okay, yeah.
It's a dark blood.
I agree with that.
Would you be able to see a blood stain or blood pool in the cell with the lighting conditions and the conditions of the cell? Because I know that cell is scratched up on the glass and stuff like that. But as you're just walking by, do you think you'd be able to see it?
Well, I did a check and did not see it.
Okay.
I did a check and didn't see it.
That was going to be my next question. So you did not see any pool of blood or anything like that?
No.
Do you remember specifically looking in his cell as you did a check?
When I do a check, I usually glance in the cell, and you know, the attention is drawn to if somebody's in bed. You know, It appeared he was in bed, so I moved on.
How many checks do you think you did of that particular cell?
I did 3 checks that night.
Okay. How about from the 2 o'clock break?
I did 1 check there.
You did 1 check? Okay. Have you spoken to C.O. Jacobson since that night?
Yes.
Okay. Did any of your conversation with him consist of him saying that he saw anything?
No.
Saw a blood pool or a pool of anything?
No.
Okay. I think that's really all I have. Is there anything you think I need to know?
Boy, I've been as cooperative as I possibly can. I mean, I don't know what I would hold back. I mean, I'm telling the truth, so.
I'm not doubting that you're telling me the truth. Is there anything else that you think I should know regarding the like inmate Keys' suicide or anything? Okay, it was just a generic question.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm nervous, to be honest. I'm nervous.
No, I can understand that. Well, I think that's it. All right, it's December 19th, 2012. It's approximately 14:25 hours. I'm at. We're speaking with CO Nelson Robinson. That's correct, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So basically, I'm the investigator who's investigating this Keys thing.
Yes.
And I was told that you're one of the officers that worked in Bravo Mod.
Yes.
That is correct? Okay. What shift were you working the night or the day that he, or well, I guess whatever?
That was on my off week.
That was your off week?
Yes.
Okay. So when was the last time you were at work?
I worked a shift prior to that happening. That happened, I think, 4 days after I got off shift. I think I got off shift on the 28th, I think.
So the 20th of November.
27th or 28th was my last work day.
And do you work days or grays on that shift?
Well, that shift, it was day shift.
Day shift? Okay. Okay. So what interactions did you have with Keys?
Just the normal interactions with him. I'll go and see. I try to get him first since he has have to have full restraint on and out of the cell. So usually after breakfast, I'll check with him to see if he wants, a shower or a rec, if he's been signed up for it.
Okay. All right. Have you noticed anything weird about him?
No, because he's usually quiet. I never had a conversation with him. When I work in there, I just usually offer him, a rec shower, and he says, well, he wants it or not. And then when I work the night shift, he's in there. I ask him if he wants fallout wear. That's the only interaction I ever had with him.
Okay. Did he, well, what I was told was that or what I know actually, is that he cut himself on the wrist, and he had a razor. And one of the things is we're just trying to figure out how he got this thing. Someone fished it to him, or what the deal was with that. And I'm talking to CEOs trying to figure out, could someone made a mistake and done something, or what the deal was. And that's one of the reasons that I'm talking to you.
Well, unfortunately, there's always ways that he can get it from, from officers, from inmates, leaving it in the shower or whatever. I guess I can only speak for when I'm there. I try to keep, that from happening.
Okay. What kind of razors is he supposed to have access to? Because I guess some people are only supposed to have like electric razors or something, and other people can have the disposable kind.
Okay, if he's on a IDR for no razor, then they have an electric razor. And with me going through the other investigation, on this, I just now finding out that he was supposed to be on a no razor, and at the time that I worked in there, I wasn't aware of it. So I used the normal razor procedure with him, to where I would check. I issue him a razor because he asked for a razor. So I checked the razor before I gave it to him, and then I checked the razor when I got it back.
Okay. So he had a normal like disposable type razor?
Yes.
How many blades do those have?
So just have one.
It's just one? Okay. Did it have a blade when you got it back from him?
Every time I give out a razor, I check it before I give it out. I check it when I get it back.
Okay.
I'm 100% sure that they had a razor. Am I doing my investigation with them? I even told them I'm willing to do a polygraph on that. I do that religiously. When I give out a razor, I check it going out. I check it coming back. I don't let them sign up for razors. I always sign them out.
Okay. All right. So he was supposed to be restricted to the electrical razors, but you didn't know that at the time?
I did not know that.
Okay.
The last day of my work day was when the security sergeant brought the IDR in, and I thought it was a new IDR, and so I read it, and then that's when I saw that he's supposed to be on no razor, but that was my last work day.
Okay.
Every other policy that was for keys, I abided by all of them. I fed him, anything. When the officers come in, they have to take him out for something. I hook him up, everything.
Okay. And what does IDR stand for? I'm not familiar with that.
It's like an individual termination restrictions.
Okay. So that basically tells you it's a report on what they can have and what they can't have.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But I know 100% sure if he had to get that razor from somewhere else because when I take the razor back, I visually look at the razor, hold it in front of me, and look at the razor, and to make sure a blade is on it before I put it in the bag. And then when I get ready to take my bags out, and then I do another scan of the bag. I count my razors and everything before I take them out. So that way, when I take them out, if all the razors is not there, and just say by chance I miss it, then the officer that when I take them to the control room, then they will call me back and say, "Hey, Officer Roberts, you're missing a razor." But none of that happened because I always count my razors. I always check my razors.
Okay. So
that's one of the few things that I do religiously.
So they check it as well at control.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you have so you were letting them have regular razors the entire time because you just didn't know.
Well, at one time when he did that in court, and then when he came back, I know he was on suicide watch then, and I worked at Mod once then. Okay, and then I know that he didn't supposed to have razors.
Okay.
So I didn't give him anything then, no razors, no pencils or nothing. It was like a few months had passed, and then when I went back in there, they said he was off suicide prevention. So once he was off suicide prevention, I thought it was back to allowed to have razors, because most times when they're on suicide prevention, they can't have any sharps. But then when they're off, they can go back to doing.
All right. Was he allowed to even have a pencil in his cell?
Yes.
Oh, he was allowed to have that.
Yeah, he wasn't on suicide prevention anymore.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Okay. Is there anything else you think I should know about Keys or about the situation?
None that I could think of, because like I said, when I've been there, there's no communication. There's like I have worked in there, and other officers, try and have a conversation with them, as far as how you're doing and stuff like that. I mean, I'm never rude to Keys. I try to treat all inmates the same. So I don't carry on a conversation like how you doing or whatever. But I am polite with them. I ask them,
Yeah, you're professional.
Yeah, and that's as far as my conversation ever went with them.
Okay. All right. So, did you intentionally give him a razor?
No,
for him to do that? Okay. And did he ever ask you for a razor? Like, ask you, can you give me a regular razor?
No, he'll just say, can I shave?
Okay. So did he ever tell you that he was going to hurt himself?
No.
No?
Never had any kind of cover. He never said anything to me that I would have never thought that was going to happen.
So you weren't trying to help him commit suicide?
No, sir.
Okay.
I sit here and I ponder over this. I wouldn't go to work and work the whole week and try to do as good a job I did for that to be my last day of work.
Yeah. Okay.
I never said anything about I wish you were dead. I don't do that.
All right, sounds good. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I'm just wondering, is this a separate investigation from the one that I went through? I guess as far as to
I have nothing to do with DOC. It's just the suicide investigations and everything surrounding that, I guess.
But no, I didn't have any communication with him other than the professionalism of my job and asking him for whether he wanted rec, shower, law library, anything that had to do with my job. Anything outside of that, personally, I have never talked to him about anything.
Okay. And when he's out, he's the only one allowed out, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's all right. Going on to